They blew it. Game 7 last night was an absolute nightmare. Uh, Not quite as nightmarish as the 2 series they blew against Boston in previous years because they didn't have a big lead in the third and then let it slip away. They just never had it right from the start. And I mean, they kind of did, but that was the thing. It was so weird. They had it, considering Boston is such a hard place to play normally for most teams, and especially for the Leafs, as we know. But like I said, in this series, they've already won 2 games there. What's a third, right? It didn't make any difference. And they came out in the first period and played a really good road period. And it looked like they're going to win this game. Like they're the better team. And then late, with about 5 minutes left in the first period, disaster struck. And just a nothing play. Some plug from the Bruins shot it from basically just not that far off the goal line, and it just, Freddie was hugging the post, but it just found some little crack in his glove, and it was just a lousy goal to start the game, and it kind of set the tone. They tried and they tried, but they just couldn't get anything going, and Boston would add another one before the first period was out, and put the Leafs down 2-0 going into the second period. Tavares got the Leafs on the board in the second period, made it 2-1, and it looked like things were turning around. But then in the third period, which has typically been their best periods, as they seem to get stronger as the game goes on, they kind of fizzled out in the third, and then Boston added another one to make it 3-1, and then when they pulled the goalie, they added 2 more to make it 5-1. A lot more lopsided score than it actually was. Yeah, they had the chance. They had the chance a couple times to eliminate these guys, and they blew it. The game before at home, Game 6, they blew it. This game, they blew it. What can you say? When you look at the stats on this game, they had a slight edge in shots by 1. They had a little edge in hits. Boston had to block a ton more shots than Leafs did. Faceoffs were dead even. Like, you look at this on paper and you go, oh, well, the Leafs probably won this game, and they didn't. They lost 5-1. So, and there goes another season. If the Leafs had won this series, even if they got eliminated in the second round by Columbus or whatever, this off season wouldn't be that. It would be kind of like just a regular off season, and of course everybody would be paying attention to what the Leafs did. But since they lost the way they did, I have a feeling this offseason is going to be very scrutinized, and all eyes on the Leafs, and people calling for other people's heads. I'm a very positive, glasses half full kind of person, especially when it comes to the Leafs. I'm very loyal. Everybody hates Jake Gardiner, but I've put up with him, and I've taken his positives in place of his negatives. But then again, in a Game 7 in Boston, an important pivotal game that could advance them in the playoffs, and he made a reverse pass that was just a boneheaded play, and there was not one Leaf in sight, but there were 3 Bruins, and that was the second or third goal or whatever, I don't know. It's the same thing that happened last year. Fred let in a bad goal or 2, Jake made an awful giveaway, and there's the friggin' game, right? They just didn't bring it. And 2, I mean, people are calling for Babcock's head too, and I get it, he stuck to his guns even when it wasn't working, and then in a Game 7, that was their season on the line, and I think Matthews played the least amount of minutes in a game in this series in that Game 7 than any other game, and I just don't get it. Like, you ride your horses, like, and he was the best player too. He was the guy with the most jump, the guy that looked like he was going to break through and get some goals, and he didn't play that much. I don't get it. If I was in charge of him, I would have had him out there every other shift until he said, okay, I need to skip one maybe, and put out the fourth line, the third line to spell him for a bit, and then get him back into every other shift, and sub different guys in, put him, Marner, and Tavares out together, do whatever, or put Nylander up there with them, and whatever you have to do, because even if they exhausted him in that game and they'd won, well, at least they're going on, he can rest up, he's young. But they didn't do that, and they lose, and look what happens now. They're golfing, and we got to wait until October to see what the hell's going to happen. So I love my Leafs, I love every one of them, but something needs to happen. because this rebuild has kind of stalled. Not to say that it's a bust or anything, but I don't know what it is. But something, they were the better team in the series. This series should have been over in 5 games at the most, and it wasn't. They ended up losing in 7 again, and it's just, something has to happen. Something has to give, because this was friggin' bizarre. Gardner won't be back. He's gonna ask for too much money, and for the amount of headaches he's caused the Leafs and the fan base, they're not going to keep him, especially when they had no cap room too, because they gave Nylander $9 million or whatever, and he didn't even show up. So suddenly things are not looking so rosy in Leafland. But who knows? Maybe with a full season under his belt, a full training camp, Nylander will get back to normal. That'll help. And getting Gardner off the books will free up some money for something else on the blue line. Who knows? Who knows what they do over the offseason? All I know is that it's going to be interesting. But after this video, I'm not thinking anymore about the Leafs. I may not even watch any more Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm so pissed off about this whole thing. I probably will, but anyways, now that Vegas is gone, and I don't even know, I'll go for St. Louis. They got the most amount of Canadians, a couple ex-Leafs, whatever. We'll see. But anyways, yes, this is my final Leaf blog for until probably September. Maybe I'll do some preseason games when they come up. We'll see. But for sure October, when the regular season starts. And until then, enjoy the rest of the playoffs. I know I won't. And have a great life.